to meet reconstruction costs. Now to the details. Former president of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Alliance, MSME, Donovan Wignall, says he is relieved that small businesses appear to have been spared the effects of the raft of new taxes set to be imposed at the start of the new fiscal year. He was reacting to the $35 billion tax package that forms part of the $1.4 trillion estimates of expenditure for the 2026-27 fiscal year, tabled in Parliament on Thursday.
I breathed a sigh of relief when I heard that the usual taxes weren't touched. The GCTs, SCT and fuel, those taxes not touched. Income tax. I expected that she would have taxed cigarettes, sweet beverages, those taxes that are really lifestyle. For small businesses, the impact on small businesses, I'm not seeing any significant impact to the operation of small businesses. What I am looking forward to is to how the minister, through policies, are going to make the lives of small business easier.
Among the proposals are the application of General Consumption Tax, GCT, to digital services and intangible goods, as well as a special consumption tax on non-alcoholic sweetened beverages. Additional increases have been proposed for alcoholic beverages and cigarettes. The measures also include an increase in the environmental levy, higher GCT on specified tourism-related products, and a possible rise in property taxes. The government says the measures come as it prepares to meet reconstruction costs linked to damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. Wignall is hoping that the government will introduce a moratorium for small and micro businesses as the measures take effect.
I know we got $6 billion odd from multilaterals. If we could get a moratorium on the payment of that, seeing that we're in strenuous times now, if we could probably get a 2 or 3 year moratorium until this particular crisis is over. Hopefully we don't have another one. A moratorium on the payments, giving us some more fiscal space to have some money. And I think the relaxation of the fiscal rules also does, at this point in time, give the minister some additional wiggle room to maneuver out of the spending that is going to be needed for Hurricane Melissa.
Donovan Wignall, former president of the MSME Alliance. He was speaking during Nationwide at 5 on Thursday. Meanwhile, tax expert and managing director of APERT Advisory Services, Alison Peart, says that the proposed GCT on digital services appears to be targeting applications that are operating in Jamaica outside of a brick-and-mortar structure and which have no tax obligation to the government.
If you imported services from overseas, you who consumed it were supposed to report it to the tax authorities and pay that reverse GCT. I'm not sure people realize that. So what this is doing is trying to clarify that whether you're a registered taxpayer or not, if you consume certain digital services, you will have to pay it. When you come with the Netflix, etc., it depends on how they define the act. But based on what I'm seeing, this is more targeted to Airbnbs, the Ubers, and it appears to be that. Now, Netflix could get caught depending on how the app works. Until we see the law, they could do it.
Alison Peart, managing director of APERT Advisory Services. And economist Keenan Fortner says he is interested to see just how the government will impose GCT on digital services.
If you're talking about digital services, does that mean, for example, Airbnb or Uber, or would it be other items like Spotify, Amazon, and things like that? My mind intuitively is telling me it is the former rather than the latter. So that might make it a little more easy to collect than to say, you're levying a tax on something like digital streaming services. How do you begin to think about collecting taxes on those as opposed to something physical like Airbnb and Uber?
Keenan Fortner, economist. They were speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Thursday. Fortner, economist. They were speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Thursday. And CARICOM, a tax leader and partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers Jamaica, Brian Denning, says he's not surprised by so-called lifestyle taxes announced on Thursday by Finance Minister Favour Williams.
The sin taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, that's not unexpected because that tax was last set in Jamaican dollars at a specific rate in 2017. So even just recalibrating this to current price is not surprising. Is a lot of concern about the sweetened beverages and its impact on the health of the society. So it's not maybe that surprising that there was a proposal to put GCT on sweetened beverages, a special consumption tax on sweetened beverages.
One of the proposed new tax measures is the application of GCT to vehicles imported by public sector workers.
The exemption for SCT and the customs duty 20% rate, I understand, will continue. But the difference is that GCT will be chargeable. So if this would be, I would say, a withdrawal, maybe it's a testing of the waters. But ultimately, as public sector salaries are realigned to market rates, I think some of these traditional concessions that were offered maybe as a quid pro quo for showing that wage restraint in agreements, we would maybe see a further removal of them.
Brian Denning, CARICOM tax leader and partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers Jamaica. He was